We expressed our agreement to this scheme that was laid out by the US, UK, and 15 other nations. Unfortunately, you also what happened when Netanyahu reached New York, he just rebuffed all this peace plan, and he's still doing that. So that's a text that is still binding to us. The Prime Minister had just reiterated that we're still attached to this text, asking for a ceasefire, 21-day ceasefire, and meanwhile negotiate a diplomatic arrangement that would address all the concerns.
So you think that there could have been a ceasefire and that was derailed by the assassination of Mr. Nasrallah?
That's a statement of fact that is known to everyone, Trevor. We're dealing with the warmongering Israeli government. And I think when they tell you that their concerns is about rockets being fired, when they tell you that their concerns is about 60,000 civilians that were displaced from northern Israel, there is a diplomatic way to address these concerns. Well, they chose a different path. They chose a path of violence, of brutalizing a whole population. It's not even about Hezbollah. They scapegoat groups here and there, like they scapegoat Hamas in Gaza, but it's not about Hezbollah. Today it's about Lebanon, it's not about Hezbollah. Hezbollah fighters came in a context. It's not a justification, it's just you need to understand how the genesis of how this happened in order to be able to address them. Israel occupied Lebanon for 22 years. And then when we had this 1701 framework, they continued their occupation to enclaves at our borders. So there is a pillar principle in international relations. Security can only be based on mutual security. You cannot expect your neighbor to give you security when you don't give him security. That's why we said the only way to address that is to put all these grievances on the table within this UN framework and address all concerns. Well, when you are in a posture of occupation, how can you speak about self-defense? You're occupying part of the Lebanese territories.
Do you accept that Israel has the right to defend its territory?
When it's in an occupying posture, even international law, when you are an occupier, when you have an occupation posture, does not grant you the right for self-defense. We have to deal with the crises at their inception. We have to look how they started. They always talk about October the 7th. All the Arab countries, they do not condone the horrors of October the 7th. But look at September of 2023. September came before October, I assume. 200 Palestinians were killed in the West Bank. So October the 7th came in a context, and that is not meant to justify. We all were shocked by the horrors of October the 7th, but they came in a context.
So we have zero interest in killing civilians. Zero interest, neither in Gaza or in Lebanon.
But you're doing it.
No, we're not doing it. What we're actually doing...
Well, they're dying.
No, it's Hamas and Hezbollah who are in charge, and let me explain why. Because they're using their own people as human shields, and you know that. You know that. They're a terror organization that couldn't care less about their human life in Gaza. This is Sinwar, with his cynical plan, created infrastructure in Gaza that turned every hospital, every nursery and kindergarten into a place that is a storage for rockets.
And my point is
can you imagine this type of cool and cynical plan of anyone doing that besides a terror organization?
And my point is, you know that, that's your point, that's your viewpoint, but you are still, as a country, and not you personally, but obviously Israel, is still pursuing an aggressive military strategy which does create this level of collateral damage. Now, how much are you prepared to contemplate in pursuit of your war aims?
I don't agree with the accusation. I think that
well, it's just a fact. People die because of Israeli missiles.
People died because your attacks in Afghanistan and Iraq.
It's not just Hezbollah
One
fighters.
second. People died because your attack in Afghanistan and in Iraq. There is no Western military, no matter how much cautious it wants to be, that can operate better than the way IDF is operating in a very populated area. What we do, and it's important to say, we warned the population, we made designated areas in Gaza, we called the population in Lebanon to flee, and they're actually listening to our calling, and they are fleeing to a better place to be safe, and we are minimizing casualties. So you need to understand, the main problem is the fact those terror organizations are using them as human shields, and by doing that, committing a double war crime.
朋友都知道我是很挑剔的， 防晒乳我选 KS 皇家呵护抗光清爽高防晒凝露，因为它有媲美蓝光神盾的皂植萃，保护我在阳光下延缓肌肤老化，维持青春弹力。可以防御工作环境里的3C 商品，各种光源对肌肤的伤害，擦起来清爽不黏腻。我特别喜欢它做到海洋友善，365天，天天抗光抗老化，是我的保养日常。你呢？呵护您，呵护全家人，专属你的 KS Royal Care 抗光清爽高防晒凝露。